Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of really complex topics. And today, we're diving into something truly monumental, a cosmic drama, really. We're looking at the incredible extent Christ went to, not just to redeem humanity, but also to vindicate God's eternal laws against Lucifer's accusations. We've got some amazing sources that really peel back the layers on this. It's a story of immense love, incredible sacrifice, and cosmic justice.
It really is. And this isn't just, a theological point for scholars. It's foundational. It reshaped destiny, redefined how the entire universe understands divine government, God's character, everything. So yeah, get ready. We're exploring that ultimate intersection of love and law.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources take us right to the heavenly courts, like the exact moment humanity falls. And they describe this profound silence. It says, even the angels in heaven paused from singing praise when they saw that man actually had fallen into sin. That image, it's so striking. What does the immediate reaction, that total stop in praise, what does it really tell us about how serious this was? Not just for us, but like cosmically.
That silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful, isn't it? It screams shock. Deep disappointment rippling through the whole unfallen universe. Imagine like a perfect symphony just stopping dead. Not a mistake, but because something fundamentally wrong just happened. The angels, they'd seen perfection, right? And they knew sin from Lucifer's rebellion. They instantly got the gravity of it. This wasn't just some local issue on Earth. It had immediate universe-wide implications. The harmony disrupted. The whole system felt the tremor. They understood this wasn't just a mistake. It was an alien force entering creation, threatening everything, raising huge questions about God's government.
And Christ's reaction. The sources say he was deeply disappointed. You can almost feel that, can't you? But here's the crucial bit, the detail that changes everything. His love had foreseen this prospect, and therefore the plan of redemption was ready to be brought into action. So this wasn't plan B. It wasn't a scramble.
No, not at all. And that's key. It wasn't reactive. It was proactive. Deeply rooted in God's foreknowledge and, just boundless love. The plan wasn't cooked up after the fall. It was laid from before the foundation of the world. You see that in Revelation. And Zechariah talks about a council of peace long before humanity even existed, let alone fell. That foreknowledge just underlines the depth of God's love and wisdom. He knew the risk of free will, foresaw the potential tragedy, and prepared the solution before it happened. So God wasn't caught off guard, wasn't panicking. It shows his unwavering commitment, even knowing we might choose wrong. It's an eternal, unshakable love.
Okay, so humanity's fallen. There's this massive chasm. The big question then is, who could possibly fix this? Who could bridge that infinite gap? Our sources are super specific. Only one person could truly vindicate the law and save man, and that was Jesus, the Son of God. And there's that quote from our right. None but Christ could redeem fallen man from the curse of the law and bring him again into harmony with heaven. So why only him? What's this curse of the law exactly? Why couldn't a really powerful angel, or even humanity itself, sort of, work its way out?
Right, this is the absolute heart of it, the curse of the law. It's the consequences, isn't it? The broken relationship, the separation, and ultimately death. That's what sin brings. When the law of an infinite holy God is broken, you get this infinite chasm. It's not just rule breaking, it's a fundamental break in the cosmic order. And no created being, not humans, not angels, had the infinite worth, the absolute purity, the divine nature needed to pay that price. An angel, however glorious, is still created, finite. Their life couldn't cover an infinite debt against an infinite God, a debt that also challenged God's entire government. And humanity, fallen, corrupted. We couldn't generate the needed righteousness. It had to be someone both fully divine with that infinite value and fully human to represent us, to stand in our place. Only Christ, God in human flesh, could offer a sacrifice of infinite value, a life equal to the lawgiver himself, basically, to satisfy the law and restore the relationship.
And it's clear this wasn't going to be easy for him. The sources say he would have to endure the worst that sin causes to ensure man's restoration. Whew, that really sets the stage. The cost was immense, far beyond just a legal thing. It implies this deep personal agony we can barely imagine. Okay, here's where it gets. Well, it's incredibly moving, honestly. The sources talk about the depth of God's love, describing it as a real struggle for the God of heaven to allow Christ to die for the sins of the world. But then you have John 3.16 expressing that love and the extent he'd go to. It wasn't easy, even for the Creator. It wasn't just a detached decision. That word struggle, what does that tell us about divine love?
That word struggle, it's huge. It really speaks to the magnitude of the love and the tension it caused within the Godhead itself. Think about it. The God of heaven struggling with the decision implies this immense emotional cost, a personal pain at his son's suffering. It wasn't a cold calculation, it was wrenching. agonizing, rooted in this infinite love for a world that, frankly, didn't love him back. White puts it so well. Oh, the mystery of redemption, the love of God for a world that did not love him. Who can know the depths of that love which passeth knowledge? She goes on, saying, immortal minds will seek to comprehend it for endless ages, wondering and adoring. It's a love beyond our grasp, meant to be pondered forever, always revealing more, drawing us closer. It passeth knowledge, meaning we'll never reach the bottom of it.
And this love wasn't abstract, was it? Not just a decree. It was personal, shown directly through Christ. The Father's love was transmitted in the life of Christ. It was embodied. And the result for us, even though humanity was so depraved, totally broken, his sacrifice offered redemption. It allowed us to be considered sons of God again if we accept it by faith. That's a total identity shift.
Exactly. The Father's love made tangible, visible, relatable in Christ. His whole life was a mirror of the Father's character, his compassion.
Yeah.
Every healing, every word of truth, that was God's heart transmitted directly, bridging the gap relationally, not just legally. And the transformation for humanity is radical, from depraved, separated, enslaved, spiritually dead, to sons of God, because that's adoption into the divine family. Intimacy restored, a new identity, purpose, hope, connection, all granted by grace through faith. It's an invitation right into God's family.
But, and this is fascinating, this infinite sacrifice, even with its promise of redemption, was not a cause of rejoicing among the angels. The sources say they were discomfited by the fact that Jesus would have endured the fallen condition of the world. That kind of counters the idea of immediate joy in heaven, doesn't it? The angels really understood the horror, the cost involved for Christ himself. They weren't just glad a plan existed, they were heartbroken about this plan.
That's such a crucial point. It shows their deep understanding of suffering, something maybe we sometimes overlook, focusing only on the outcome. They'd seen perfection, the joy of communion with God, and they knew sin's ugliness from Lucifer. So to see their creator, the Son, not just fix things from afar, but actually enter the fallen world, its vileness, pain, rejection, that was deeply distressing for them. They weren't rejoicing in the suffering itself. They were grappling with the sheer cost, the self-abasement of divine love. It wasn't a light thing for anyone in the universe. Their discomfort really highlights sin's reality and the staggering love needed to deal with it.
The material even details the specific sufferings. Rejection by the people he came to save, insults, attacks, crucifixion. But it points to a deeper reason. He did all of that to be close to humanity's pain. Hebrews 2.18 is mentioned. So it wasn't just a legal payment, not just balancing the books.
You're right, much more than legal, though that part was vital. That deeper motive shows the incredible empathy, his willingness to identify with our suffering, experience it firsthand. That's compassionate love beyond just legal necessity. It's solidarity. Understanding from the inside. He didn't just stand apart and forgive. He came down into it, felt our anguish, our temptations, our brokenness. Hebrews 2.18 says, because he suffered when tempted, he can help us when we are. It's experiential, not theoretical. This creates this unbreakable empathy bridge. He's a high priest who gets it, intimately understanding our struggles. It shows God not only demands justice, but deeply cares, walking with us in our pain.
And it's interesting, the angels, loving Christ so much, actually wanted to step in. Sources say angels wanted to take his place, but it was clear only the sacrifice of himself could suffice. The angels' lives were incapable of providing such redemption. So if they couldn't be the saviors, what was their role?
Their desire shows their love, yeah, but also their limits as created beings. Their roles shifted, as you said. Not saviors, they weren't qualified, being finite, but they became crucial support. The sources say they could be a source of support to him as he took on human flesh. Like we discussed, no created being had that infinite worth needed. Angels are glorious, but still creatures. Their lives couldn't pay an infinite price, but their ministry, immense comfort, strength, companionship for Christ on earth, guarding him as a baby, ministering in the wilderness, strengthening him in Gethsemane, announcing the resurrection. So not the Redeemer, but indispensable messengers, protectors, ministering spirits, part of God's huge plan involving all of heaven, each playing their unique part, with Christ at the absolute center, a universe-wide effort.
It really is striking, then, how absolute Christ's commitment was. He subscribed to the scorn and abuse of men when he chose to become man's redeemer, and even the angels, watching in pain, could not extract him from this chosen situation. This was a path he walked willingly, a decision, once made, he saw through, incredible resolve, born from that infinite love. So while heaven's in the state of anguish and Christ is committed to this unimaginable path, what's Lucifer Satan up to? Our sources say he was rejoicing at the prospect that if Christ came into the battle, then he would have a chance to defeat him and thwart the salvation plan. He really miscalculated badly, didn't he? Saw an opening for victory that just wasn't there because he misunderstood God's power and Christ's mission.
Absolutely. A massive miscalculation. Satan's view is warped by his own rebellion, pride, his total inability to get self-sacrificial love. He thinks in terms of power, force, manipulation. He just couldn't grasp divine love and humility. He genuinely thought if Christ came down to his turf, this fallen world where he seemed to have won, he could take him on directly and win. He was sure that forgiveness of sins was not possible. He saw God's law as rigid, merciless, no room for pardon. He thought he'd cornered God, either abandon the law or destroy humanity, proving Satan's point that God is a tyrant. So he saw a chance for a power struggle, totally misjudging Christ's power, which wasn't brute force, but humility, perfect obedience, self-sacrificing love. He thought the law was only punishment, not restoration, not a display of God's loving character. He misunderstood God, misunderstood the law, and that led to his downfall.
Amidst all this, how did Christ address the angels' fears? They were clearly distressed. Sources say he assured that his actions would bring about man's full restoration, and then, crucially, urged them to work with the plan of the Father and to celebrate man's reconciliation despite the path that had to be taken. He wasn't just informing them, he was inviting them into a new understanding, a deeper participation, shifting their whole perspective.
Yes, that motivational response was vital. It transformed their fear and sorrow into joy and adoration. He didn't just vaguely promise restoration, he explained the how and why. Showed them the deeper cosmic purposes vindicating God's character, proving the law's stability, to an even greater glory than if sin hadn't happened. This deeper understanding invoked a scene of praise and adoration unlike anything before. The sources describe songs of highest praise even with deeper resonance than when the earth was created. Think about that. Creation was amazing, evoked huge praise. But the plan of redemption, its cost, its sacrifice, its incredible love, brought out an even deeper resonance. It was a new, profound grasp of God's character, not just powerful and wise, but infinitely loving, self-denying, merciful. This fuller picture sparked even greater worship.
And this message of hope wasn't just kept in heaven. It was given directly to Adam and Eve right there in their despair. They were told Satan would be ultimately defeated, despite the fact that they would have to battle with him extensively. That first promise, Genesis 3:15, that must have been an absolute lifeline for them, a tiny spark in their new dark reality.
Oh, absolutely, an anchor for their souls. It helped them to maintain their hope despite Satan's seeming triumphs. Think about their state. Kicked out of Eden, facing death, a world suddenly hostile, Satan probably crowing about his win. Without that long-term view, knowing this wasn't the end, they could have easily despaired, believed everything was lost. That promise of Satan's ultimate defeat from God himself gave them strength, an anchor. It helped them endure the coming battle, trust in a future victory beyond their current suffering. It shifted their focus from loss to hope.
Now, as Adam and Eve started to really grasp the sheer enormity of what Christ was doing for them, their reaction, it's really poignant, sources say. When the couple saw what had to be done by Christ, they recognized the serious consequences of sin, and they requested to suffer in his place.
Wow, that's powerful, isn't it? Shows deep remorse, a painful understanding of sin's real cost, and maybe a first glimpse of that self-sacrificial idea. Their willingness to suffer in his place. Yeah, it shows they were starting to get it. The penalty required, the gravity of what they'd done, and the incredible love being shown to them. It wasn't just regret, it was sorrow, empathy for Christ's coming suffering, a faint echo of his own sacrifice. But they notified that no angel or human was worthy to be the sacrificial substitute for the penalty of the law. Which brings us back again to Christ's unique, indispensable role. No created being had the infinite worth. Only his atonement, divine and human, could reverse the consequence of Adam's failure. Only his life had the value to bridge that gap, satisfy justice. Them not being able to substitute just reinforces how unique and necessary Christ's sacrifice was, makes his love shine even brighter.
And the consequences of Adam's failure were huge, right? Not just personal. Sources say both mankind and the planet came under the curse of sin, and Adam himself came under the bondage of Satan. That sounds like a widespread, total degradation affecting everything. It's exactly. The fall had comprehensive consequences, so Christ's mission had to be just as comprehensive. Adam's sin affected everyone after him. His dominion over creation, the earth itself, bondage of Satan means spiritual slavery, separation from God, loss of original purity, weakened intellect, morality, physical vitality, humanity under the enemy's thumb. So sources clarify, Christ was going to restore that which Adam lost to the devil. It's not just saving souls, vital as that is. It's reclaiming lost dominion, reversing the curse on the planet, restoring all creation. Psalm 37, Revelation 22. They point to this ultimate aim. to restore everything to its former glory. It's a cosmic restoration project, way bigger than we often think.
And one of the most immediate, devastating consequences was that severed communication, direct communion with God. Gone. But the plan addressed this too, right? Reestablishing that vital connection. Yes, absolutely critical. The line of communication was cut off due to sin. Holy God can't directly commune with uncleansed sin. Sin creates a barrier. But the plan of redemption, through Christ and the ministering angels, restored that connection, allowed for blessing and salvation. Christ became the mediator, the bridge. Through him, we can approach God again, access grace, and the angels. Indispensable messengers bringing guidance, comfort, protection. This reestablished link provides spiritual nourishment, understanding God's will, divine power. It allows us to thrive spiritually, grow in grace. Without it, redemption would be incomplete. True relationship needs ongoing communication.
Adam was even given this prophetic vision, a preview of sin's long-term damage. White describes it, chillingly. Crime would increase. The curse of sin would rest more heavily upon the human race, upon the beasts, and upon the earth. Days shortened, deterioration in physical stature, endurance, moral, and intellectual power. The world filled with misery. That's such a stark picture of what Christ knew he was stepping into, the full, compounding horror of it all.
It is sobering, a truly grim outlook. But it's crucial to remember that vision wasn't just despair. It also included the promise of God's determination to supply the needs of the ones who respond to the redemptive plan by faith. So even as things got worse, divine provision wouldn't stop. God committed to caring for those who chose faith, not abandoning them. It shows his continuous care, his foresight, his sustenance, spiritual, emotional, physical, through the darkest times. That mix of stark reality and enduring hope underscored the plan's comprehensiveness, ultimate victory, yes, but also moment-by-moment help for the faithful.
And then the introduction of sacrificial offerings, that became this constant, tangible, even painful reminder of the plan. Adam's painful encounter making that first offering, seeing death for the first time, realizing the impact of his failure on the Son of God must have been traumatic. Yet paradoxically, it also provided him hope that God would go that far to save humanity. It made the abstract intensely personal, visceral.
Intensely visceral, exactly. Imagine Eden's perfection, then certainly the reality of an innocent animal dying, its bloodshed because of his sin. That first sacrifice did several critical things. One, it drilled home sin's consequence. Death, the law upheld. Two, it showed substitution. An innocent life for the guilty. Not just a concept, but visible, bloody reality. And three, most profoundly, it was a constant prophetic shadow of Christ's ultimate sacrifice. Every offering was meant to bring penitence, sorrow for sin, but also hope. Visible assurance that God would provide the true Lamb. It connected their present struggle with the future redemption, a constant reminder of God's promise, the incredible lengths he'd go to, cemented both their failure and his immense love.
Okay, so beyond redeeming us, there's this other monumental purpose, to justify God's treatment of Satan's rebellion and to highlight the perpetual nature of God's immutable law. This brings us right to the core of Lucifer's challenge, doesn't it? A cosmic accusation against God's character, his government, the principles of his universe. It's bigger than just us.
That's a vital distinction, yeah. Elevates the whole story.
Yeah.
So what was the great controversy really about, deep down? Sources are clear. It began as a result of Satan's attempt to usurp the law and to question its sustainability and immutability. Satan pushed the idea that God's law was arbitrary, changeable, too harsh, impossible. Portrayed God as a tyrant, demanding unreasonable obedience, denying mercy. He felt satisfied that the couple chose him, thinking he'd proved God's government flawed, his law merciless. He was sure that forgiveness of sins was not possible under that system. He thought he'd undermined God's moral authority universally. It was a cosmic legal battle, a trial about divine governance, justice, love, all creation watching how God would respond.
So Christ coming to earth was the direct, irrefutable answer to that cosmic challenge. Sources say Satan would be defeated on the same ground that the devil claimed as his own. It's quite a strategy.
Exactly. Christ gave it the glory and superintendence of the universe to come to earth. Huge act of condescension. The ultimate strategic move. He put himself right where Satan claimed victory, a sin-marred world where humanity seemed to choose Satan, a world of suffering and death. The whole universe was therefore interested in the outcome, watching intently. How would God handle this? Would he compromise the law to save us, proving Satan right about it being changeable or God being harsh? Would he just destroy everyone, proving Satan right about a lack of mercy? Or could he find a way to uphold perfect justice and show infinite love? Christ entering Satan's chosen battlefield, taking our condition, overcoming sin without violating the law. That was the ultimate refutation. He won by submitting to the consequences Satan called unjust.
And that decisive moment, the declaration heard across the cosmos, was on the cross. So when he was dying on the cross and exclaimed, "It is finished," it became clear that the work of salvation was done, and the entire universe saw it, that he conquered sin on man's behalf. Christ was a self-sacrificing soul who exposed Satan's lies. That wasn't just a sigh of relief. It was a shout of victory heard everywhere.
It is finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more than just the end of a life. It was a cosmic declaration, victory, atonement complete, infinite price paid. Satan's claims against God's law and character, utterly refuted. The entire universe saw it. That means everyone, angels, beings on other worlds, maybe even the rebels, witnessed the implications. He showed sin's penalty could be paid, forgiveness could be offered, God's law could be vindicated, all while maintaining perfect righteousness and love. Through self-sacrifice, Christ exposed Satan's lie that God was a tyrant, his law unchangeable and unmerciful, forgiveness impossible in a just system. The cross became the ultimate display of God's justice and his love, side by side. Cosmic judgment seat, Satan's case.
And the heart of this vindication is the law itself. Sources stress. The immutable law of God could not change or be abrogated. Otherwise, Satan's claims would be proven to be true. If God had just waived the law, lowered the standard, Satan would have won that argument, right? Proving the law was arbitrary.
Precisely. The absolute linchpin. If God, wanting to save us, had just set aside the law, modified it, declared it void, Satan's accusations would be validated. Satan claimed the law was unreasonable, impossible, unjust, that it hindered freedom. If it could be changed, it wasn't perfect or eternal. It would imply imperfection in God himself. But by Christ bearing the penalty within the law's framework, satisfying its demands without changing a thing, he proved multiple truths. The law is perfect and just, its demands are righteous. And God's love is so deep, he himself provided the way for the penalty to be met without lowering the standard. This affirmed the law's permanence, its enduring nature, and God's consistent character to everyone forever. The cross, an eternal monument to the law's truth and God's character.
So instead, what Christ did was the exact opposite. A powerful affirmation of the truth about the commandments. And that quote from Ellen White you mentioned earlier, it just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? The very fact that Christ bore the penalty of man's transgression is a mighty argument to all created intelligences that the law is changeless, that God is righteous, merciful, and self-denying, and that infinite justice and mercy unite in the administration of his government. It ties everything together beautifully.
It really does. Perfectly encapsulates the scope and impact. His bearing the penalty was a mighty argument, definitive, cosmic proof to everyone. It proved, beyond doubt, the law is changeless, its demands met, not dismissed. God is righteous, justice served, penalty paid. He is merciful, a way provided for the guilty to be saved.
Yeah.
And profoundly, he is self-denying. He himself, in his Son, paid the unimaginable price. It demonstrates for all time that in God's government, infinite justice and mercy unite. Not opposites, not competing forces, but harmonious facets of his perfect character, reconciled and perfectly shown at the cross, satisfied the law, exposed Satan's lies, and revealed God's character in its fullest, most glorious light for all creation to see and worship forever. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive that was. We've really journeyed through the infinite scale of Christ's sacrifice, realizing it wasn't just about rescuing humanity from sin, as massive as that is. It was also at the same time the ultimate undeniable proof of God's unchanging law, and that perfect blend of his righteousness, mercy, and self-denial, revealed to the entire universe, love meeting justice head-on.
It truly wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a cosmic courtroom drama, played out right here on Earth, with the whole universe watching. Christ's life, his obedience, his death. That was the irrefutable evidence of God's perfect love and the absolute solidity of his government. The cross wasn't just suffering, it was, like you said, a cosmic billboard, seen by everyone, everywhere, declaring the truth about God, his law, and offering the only way back.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider this. How does that idea that infinite justice and mercy unite through such an immense sacrifice, how does that challenge your usual understanding of justice and mercy? We often see them as separate, right? Either justice or mercy, but here they're woven together, perfected through suffering and love. What does that tell you about the nature of a love so profound it would pay the ultimate price itself and validate the very law that demanded it? It's a mystery worth pondering, well, for an eternity. It really speaks to the heart of the universe and maybe your place within it.